Ash has been 10 years old for 23 years now. Ash Ketchum is the main protagonist of the children's arts and crafts tutorial series Pokemon, and is quite strong. As a trainer, he's strong? We could talk power levels until the Miltanks come home, but the bottom line is this. A Pokemon trainer should be measured not on their own merits, but the bond they have with their Pokemon. With this in mind, to measure how strong Ash and his Pokemon's bond are, we will look at all the Pokemon he caught and how strong each of them are. Although Pokemon trainers are only allowed to have 6 Pokemon in their party at a given moment, it's important, before we begin, to remember that Ash can gain access to all of his Pokemon by calling his many friends before the situation calls for it. So here we go.
Pikachu! Yeah, you thought we'd start with Pikachu, didn't you? Nah. Save that for the end. We also need to categorize this a bit, because, he did try to catch them all.
Kanto! Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Charizard, Krabby, Muk, Snorlax, Butterfree, Pidgeot, Primeape, Lapras, Raticate, 30 Tauros, and Beedrill. Out of his Kanto Pokemon, Ash is still learning the ropes and kind of screwed himself out of the regular starter options by oversleeping. Still, with Pikachu beside him, electrocuting him, and being a nuisance, Ash tries his best. His very first capture is a caterpillar that he evolves up into a butterfly, and even though he missed his initial chance to get those starter Pokemon, he does end up obtaining all 3 in unique ways, one after another. He ends up catching a Totoro and a monkey too. In an episode that was banned in America for depicting guns, Ash accidentally catches 30 Tauros in a row using Safari Balls. These Tauros are far and away the highest percentage of Ash's Pokemon. If you take all of his Pokemon he catches in the entire series and turn them into a pie graph, those Tauros are going to be a pretty big slice, if not half of the pie itself. We end up seeing little baby Charmander dying in the rain, but being rescued by Ash. We watch as his Charmander grows up and evolves. They grow up so fast. Too fast, actually. Technically, his Charmander belonged to a different trainer first, so it counts as a trade Pokemon. In the games, a traded-in Pokemon will level up faster than the one that you got normally, but will also stop obeying your commands unless you have enough badges to train them. It's a learning experience. Sadly, we had to say goodbye to a few friends during this arc. Who could forget watching his butterfly fly away with a pink butterfly? That way the audiences knows that the butterflies are heterosexual and the pink one is a girl. He also leaves behind his Pidgeot, freshly evolved from Pidgeotto, promising to come back for him after his adventures in the Orange Islands. A promise he has still yet to fulfill. And who could forget that time that they met Team Rocket for the first time? Ah yes, the first time. The only time they were actually threatening. Ash gets all the badges and attempts to fight the Elite Four, and loses. He does end up getting an extra 4 badges in the Orange Leagues though, which puts him at 12 out of 8 for the region, so that's pretty cool.
Johto! Heracross, Bayleaf, Quilava, Totodile, Noctowl, Donphan, out of his Johto Pokemon. Ash didn't get as many, and he ended up evolving the Grass Starter rather than the Fire Starter. Of note, as Ash traveled through Johto, he left some of his Pokemon that he caught in the previous region to better themselves. Charizard was left with a clan of his own kind to train and live up to his potential. Squirtle was joined with his former companions, the Squirtle Squad, to lead them again. Bulbasaur stayed with Ash the longest besides Pikachu. He kept Pikachu though. He always keeps Pikachu. The new Pokemon were good too. Totodile's energetic behavior is enough to brighten my darkest days, and Heracross has literally never lost a battle. He even brought Heracross with him to the Pokemon League. Ash got all 8 badges in Johto, putting his overall total at 20. He made it to the Pokemon League, and lost. Bummer!
Hoenn! Swallow, Sceptile, Corphish, Toecool, Glalie. Out of his Hoenn Pokemon, Ash caught a measly 5 Pokemon. What happened to gotta catch them all? Once again, Ash shows preference to the grass starter of the region, allowing his companions to use the other starters. His Trico evolves all the way up to Sceptile, making him Ash's first fully evolved grass-type Pokemon. The whole advanced generation experience was more about the new kids and a whole lot of plot with them. Ash left all of his Pokemon in the care of Professor Oak, bringing only Pikachu to the Hoenn area with him, and only catching enough Pokemon to make one full team. In a way, you can almost say this was Ash's Nuzlocke run of the series. Ash got the 8 Hoenn badges, now putting his total at 28, and made it to the Hoenn League, and he lost! On his way back to Kanto, a man stops him and says, "Hey, why not go to the battle frontier?" And Ash is like, why not? And ends up going through the event as well. He earns all 7 frontier symbols, but for simplicity's sake, I'll count those as badges. Now he's at 35.
Sinnoh! Staraptor, Torterra, Infernape, Weasel, Gliscor, Gibble, that's all he got. So check this out. Out of his Sinnoh Pokemon, Ash ends up catching Turtwig, and then his rival's like, I don't like this Chimchar anymore, and I'm throwing it in the trash. And Ash is like, whoa, finders keepers! And he ends up fully evolving both of those while getting a fully evolved bird. Since his companion already has the water starter, he instead fills his ranks with the water otter, then grabs a bug and a shark just in case. All in all, this is the most balanced team he's had since Kanto, so it only makes sense that he ends up getting all 8 badges Sinnoh has to offer. 43 now. He does end up losing the championship, but I mean, at least one of the competitors was using a Darkrai, and that's a legendary, so honestly I think the competition was rigged. It's like, when your opponent's on steroids, of course you're going to lose your chess match against them. It's just not fair.
Unova! Unfezant, Oshawott, Pignite, Snivy, Scraggy, Leavanny, Palpitoad, Bulldor, Crocodile. Out of his Unova Pokemon, Ash didn't fully evolve any starters. I guess this was to make up for him having 2 fully evolved starters in the last run? Or maybe it's because Pignite's fully evolved form would have been too bar for network TV. The Unova region is our first stretch outside of pretend Japan, and it takes place in pretend New York. But with the infamous trash Pokemon and ice cream Pokemon. We get it. You guys can't take a joke. Maybe we should cut some of the Pokemon in future games. This is what you wanted after all. Ash ends up catching 9 new Pokemon. And unlike previous regions, he actually swaps his team around to train them all equally. Although they're not fully evolved, this group of Mons are all roughly the same strength as some of his oldest friends. Ash ends up taking his first form starters like Snivy and Oshawott all the way through 8 gyms, collecting every badge along the way, now totaling at 51, and makes it to the league. He loses.
Kalos! Talonflame, Hawlucha, Noivern, Goodra, and Greninja. Oh man, the Greninja. Out of his Kalos Pokemon, Ash caught some birds. Look, we're just gonna talk about Ash's Greninja real quick, okay? Ash and Greninja share a special bond that very few trainers can share with their Pokemon, and Ash and Greninja can fully synchronize their bodies together. Greninja gains new special skills and attacks from this fusion, but in exchange, Ash feels every attack that Greninja takes. You ever want to see Ash bleed? Welcome to Kalos. The French don't bunk around. The Kalos region is where we start getting into things like Mega Evolution, which is such a big change in the Pokemon franchise that they start bringing back all the older Pokemon to show how it works. Ash's Greninja form, though, is obstinately not a Mega form, but functionally it offers the same powered-up temporary form. Actually, I want to get more into this Greninja because it was given away to players at an event. Ash Greninja in-game has the unique ability Battle Bond, which is what triggers a transformation, and only this Greninja can learn it. He's also level 37, and his original trainer information says that he was met by Ash at level 5. Just getting this Pokemon as a mystery gift is enough to put together its whole backstory, as well as foreshadowing to when Ash releases Greninja after losing the Kalos Pokemon League. Still, their unique bond will be very important for doing stats at the end of this video. And we're throwing all those Kalos badges under Ash's belt as well. 59.
Alola! Rowlet, Lycanroc, Incineroar, Naganadel, Melmetal. Alola is like pretend Hawaii. They specialize in a new thing called Z moves, which uses the bond between a trainer and a Pokemon to increase the Pokemon's strength. Alright, so this team, another bit like Hoenn, where Ash only gets enough Pokemon to make a full party of 6, and leaves it at that. He gets a Grass starter and a Fire starter, fully evolving the latter. I guess I should point out that his fully evolved starters are now being influenced by the Pokemon Company, working with the Smash Bros. Company. Greninja and Incineroar are both fully fleshed out and realized characters in Super Smash Bros. The Naganadel is an Ultra Beast, which is a whole plot point in the Sun and Moon games, so that's kind of standard, and Lycanroc is your regular dog-type Pokemon. I like that type, dog-type. Rowlet is already the bird on the team, so Ash basically got the next basic early-game Pokemon to join the team. This leaves Melmetal as the odd man out. For those of you who don't know, in the games, Melmetal is evolved from Meltan, and both are only obtainable by playing Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee, and also Pokemon Go on your phone, and working together to get it. It is the weirdest synergy for catching Pokemon, and it can only evolve by feeding it a certain amount of Meltan-specific candies. It's a joke. I hate it. It doesn't make any sense that Ash would have it in his Alola party, since it's a Kanto-specific Pokemon, but marketing synergy, I suppose. So, Ash takes his team through the 8 Alolan trials, which are basically the gyms, and add badges to his collection. Well, they're actually the Z crystals he needs for doing the Z moves with his Pokemon, but since they're treated with the same reverence of badges, we'll toss them into the count. 7 Z crystals added in turns the total to 66 badges, but if we were being technical, it should still be 59. Let me know in the comments which number you think is correct. Ash's Alola team makes it to the new championship competition, and during the Manalo conference, he finally becomes a Pokemon champion in episode 1078 of the series. The Alola team is the one that did it, but I think we glossed over a pretty important member of that team.
And then there's Pikachu! Let's all talk about Pikachu. While the other Pokemon all have a set starting level, and in cases like this Greninja, we actually have a predetermined end level through game events. Again, that guy was one of Ash's strongest Pokemon, and was apparently level 37. Pikachu is an anomaly. Pikachu can go toe-to-toe against actual legendaries, fighting gods of time and space in some instances, but then in the next season, there's a fight against a level 5 Chimchar. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Ash first gets Pikachu when he overslept and couldn't get any of the Pokemon he actually wanted. He treats Pikachu at first with a sense of begrudging obligation, dragging him around with a rope and wearing rubber gloves so that he doesn't get shocked. This is in stark contrast to show how they now act, with Pikachu riding on Ash's shoulder through thick and thin. In episode 241, Ash is transformed into a Pikachu, which furthers the bond, I guess. Ashichu, which is what fans call this form, doesn't seem to do any moves and returns to his human form by the end. I just wanted to bring it up, I guess.
Stats! We're going to look at each stat, not as Ash's personal stats. He's just human after all, but using his Pokemon and its relation to them to show the true power. We mentioned Smash Brothers earlier, and I want to point out that one of the Smash Brothers characters is Pokemon Trainer, allowing you to switch between 3 Pokemon. Of course, that's not Ash, it's Red, before he retires to Mount Silver. We're not talking about Red in this video, we're talking about Ash.
Strength. If we're talking about brute force, we have Ash's Charizard, who can smash rocks with his bare hands, or his entire herd of Tauros he has at his disposal. If we're talking specific strength, then hands down it's gotta be Greninja, powered by his own blood and soul. There's no way to claim that he isn't the strongest trainer, but we've seen him lose often enough that I don't feel comfortable giving him any higher than a 7 here.
Intelligence. Ash's intelligence through the series is kind of a mystery. He's a fucking moron. But I mean, okay. According to the new series, Ash has been studying Pokemon since he was at least 7, and in the old series he has shown to know the starter Pokemon pretty well. This is contrary to how he acts through the earlier seasons, being the audience surrogate and not knowing type matchups or how Pokeballs work. I'm going to put intelligence as 4. Room to expand, but usually he messes up, so a smarter trainer can explain to the audience how something works. Compare this to Yu-Gi-Oh, where Yugi does things right the first time, and then his friends discuss with each other why he did what he did
Speed. Ash has surprisingly high speed when you account for all of his flying Pokemon, his ride Pokemon, and using grass-type, like Vine Whips to swing around like Spider-Man. I tried to find the flying speed of Charizard for an example, but the Pokedex only talks about his liftoff. According to Gojira-san on the Sufficient Velocity forums, the equation is lift equals 1/4 KL... letter they have in German but not in English, SWPV squared, and you plug in Charizard's weight, size, wingspan, etc., and it measures to about 81 miles per hour. Not even close to Speed Force levels or Sonic Speed, but on Charizard's back, Ash is simply zooming. Solid 8.
Endurance. Ash spends over 20 years trying and failing to become a champion, and the entire time he loves, respects, and trusts his Pokemon. Solid 10. Ash is a good trainer.
Rank. Ash became the champion of the Alola region. It took a long time, but he ranked up from 1 all the way up to 10, and it only took him about 60 badges and 20 years to get there.
Courage. In the Pokemon First movie, Ash runs in between a fight between Mew and Mewtwo, in the middle of a gigantic Pokemon versus clone Pokemon war zone, sacrificing himself to try to stop the fight. Ash is revived by everyone's tears. Weird flex, but okay. But the point is, Courage is a big, fat 10.
Firepower. Ash's Greninja is by far Ash's strongest Pokemon, and is powered entirely by Ash's bond with him. The Battle Bond technique, according to the official forums, is the only technique that can break any limit. In-game, it increases the Water Shuriken power from 15 to 20. That allows it to be used 3 times per turn, basically making it a combined total of 60. Ash's bond with Greninja has quadrupled Greninja's base power. With the advent of Z-moves being powered by the bond between Pokemon and trainers, this means Ash can potentially quadruple any of his Pokemon's firepower if they bond strongly enough. Solid 8.
Skill. It took a long time, and about 7 regions, but Ash finally became a Pokemon champion with his team of Pikachu, Rowlet, Lycanroc, Incineroar, Niganadel, and Melmetal. Solid 10. Period.
I mostly focused on Ash's bond with his Pokemon, but I will throw out that he lifts heavy Pokemon like Larvitar, weighing about 185 pounds, like he's a plushie. Even without his Pokemon, Ash has above human physical strength and speed, but his whole thing is the Pokemans. So, like, that's what I wanted to talk about. Do you agree with this decision? Let me know down in the comments. Make sure to subscribe, and hey, let's try to form a discussion in the comments section. Which of Ash's Pokemon was your favorite? Let me know, and I'll put the top 5 comments in my next How Strong Is video. See you next time. Haha.